In this video I'm going to show you how to use the Lucent Photoshop action. So here I have my stock photo, and the action will produce all these effects that you see here. It also applies this effect to the text. You can see there, and you can easily change the font and the colors of that text as well. So I'll show you how to do all that. So let me just click through a few examples that I have of the action. And lastly, this one here to that. Alright, so let me close these all down and start from scratch. Alright, so looking into the layer panel here, just make sure your photo layer looks identical to this. So it should have the background text with the lock symbol. If it doesn't, for example, I'll just delete that. So if you open up your photo and it didn't look like that, what you need to do is go to Layer, New Background from Layer, and that just sets it as the background. So that's an important step, that one. Okay, next, still in the layer panel, just go to this top right hand corner icon and go to panel options. Right down the bottom here, make sure add copy to copied layers and groups is ticked. Click OK. Next, go to image menu, go to mode. Make sure you're in RGB color mode and 8 bits of channel is selected. If you're in 16 bits or 32 bits, a lot of the filter gallery effects that you see here are disabled. So that'll affect the playback of the action. And lastly, just make sure that you're using a high resolution photo. For any of my photo actions, I recommend probably a range of 2500 to 3500 pixels. Mine's 1600 by 2500 here, so that's okay. But yeah, avoid using small photos for any of my photo effect actions. Alright, so I'm going to close this down, and the next step is to create a new layer. New layer. Must be called brush, all in lowercase. Click OK. So with the brush layer selected here, we need to brush over our photo or outline the area of our photo that we want to concentrate all the effects around. So I want to basically brush over my subject here, this guy. But rather than watch me do that, I'm just going to open up one that I've already brushed over or traced around. So you can see here I've got my brush layer, and I have selected the area that I want to apply all the effects to and around. So what we need to do now is load up the actions panel, go to Window Actions, it'll pop up here. Go up to the top right hand corner icon, go to Load Actions, select Lucent.atm, it will pop up here. Just twirl this open, and the action's now ready to go. So that's all you need to do to set up your Photoshop file. So the action takes about 2 minutes to play back. So I'm just going to click play right now, and I'm just going to fast forward the video and get to the result and talk about go through every single layer and tell you what it does and how to make some cool customizations to it. Okay, the action's finished, and this is the default look that you'll get after you've played the action. So the font here is this it's Arial. So I'll show you how to change all that. If you run the action on people as subjects, I'll tell you how to clear up the area in their face. So let's get into that now. I'm going to minimize the actions panel and look into the layer panel here. What we want to do first is collapse all these folders, and a quick way to do that is with the Lucent folder already selected, just hold down Control Alt or Command Option on a Mac, click that arrow, and there you go, it collapses all the folders. Alright, so every time we run this action, you're going to get a completely new variation on all these textures and all these light effects. So if you wanted to run the action again and go for a different variation, shift select these two folders, delete them, because I've still got the brush layer on at the top here. Okay, and you know, experiment with like brushing a bit differently. Like you might want to use a soft brush, just erase bits of your subject and then run the action again. So keep that in mind. I'll just undo that. Okay, I'll come back to the adjustments folder. There's just got a few adjustment layers there to fine tune the look of the design. Give me a bit. Okay, so first thing that you want to do is really clear up the points of interest. So I want to clear up his face there because there's a lot of effects applied to his face. It's basically it's just distorted it far too much. So how you do that is this layer here in red. It's called Reveal Original Photo, and I've got in brackets mask, just telling you to use this mask here. And so if you grab a white brush, so if I hit B on the keyboard, grab a white brush and select that mask. Now if I just brush over his face, one click, you can see all those effects have cleared up, and now I can see his face there. Okay, so yeah, any points of interest, use a soft brush, select the mask and brush away. Now if you want to feather out that area that you brushed, just double click on the mask, drag this feather handle all the way up to the right so you can see that blend. What I'll do, I'll just zoom in, double click again. Now watch what happens when I drag up the feathering. See it start to blend with the original design underneath. So just keep that about there. Okay, zoom out. Okay, so we'll go back up to the top here. So this first folder here, light streaks. So if I turn that one on and off, you can see that's all those light effects there. Okay, so like I said, every time we run the action, they're going to be in a new position. They're going to have a completely different form. So this is what I got when I ran the action. So I'll go inside this folder and I'll tell you about the structure in here. So these two layers are the light streaks. Light streaks 1, light streaks 2. You select it, you can move it around, you can rotate them. I'll quickly flip it vertically. So yeah, there's 2 there, and these 2 layers above, we've got LS1 color, LS2 color. All you need to do to change the color of the light streaks is to double click on this box and pick a new color, just like that. Alright, so just drag these handles around, and if the color looks a bit too blown out like that there, just make sure you try go with a lighter purple or a darker purple, whatever suits. But I like the default colors, so I'm going to keep it at that. So experiment with, you know, chopping and changing between these two. You might select a blue, and then you might select a like a bit of a green, like that there. Okay, so you can have a lot of fun just playing around with the colours like that. If you wanted more light streaks, what you can do is shift select either one of these two, just like that. Hold down Alt or Option on the Mac and drag up, duplicates those 2 layers. Okay, so now I can select this one, this copy, and you know I can zoom out and I can scale this up, Control T, I can scale that right up, you know, rotate it, zoom back in, change this color, that looks pretty cool. Okay, so just keep that in mind, is that you're not restricted to just those 2, you can add more. If you want a lot more, you can even duplicate the entire folder. Hit Control J on that folder. Might take a second, and there you've just doubled the amount of light streaks you got, so you can move all them around. Alright, delete that. Okay, so this folder here, light overlays, if I turn this on and off, what I'll do, I'll just turn this one off for the moment. So by default, when the action's finished, it creates this light gradient, and you can control the color and also the angle of those gradients. So if you go inside here, again I'll tell you about how this is set up. We have light overlay 1 and light overlay 2, so there's 2 different gradients. Okay, and these boxes up the top are a quick way to change the color. So what these gradients are, if I just double click on this, which I'll do one at a time, we'll just go from the bottom. If I double click on this box, I can rotate that gradient. See that there? You can also pick a different style. You can change that to like reflected, like that. Okay, but you'll notice that that gradient there is red, but it's actually blue. It's because I'm overriding that gradient with this adjustment layer here, because using this adjustment layer is just a really quick way to change the color of that gradient. Okay, because otherwise, without that adjustment layer, this is how you change the color. You have to double click on that. You got to click on this gradient field here, and you got to double click in this box here and change the color. So there's a lot of steps just to change one color. So that's why I created that adjustment layer, to make it quick and easy. But the advantage with going inside here is that you can add more colors along the gradient. So I've just clicked there. I can double click on that and add another color. You can play around the position of that as well. So that's the advantage of changing the color in there. But I think you'll find most times that you'll just want to use these adjustment layers here. So play around with the angle of these. That's where you can really get the cool results. Leave mine there. And of course, yeah, just experiment with the colors. Blue looks pretty good, but then you want to check with the light streaks folder back on, and you want to see if that suits the light streaks color. So probably not so much as the red. I'll try orange again. Blue. That looks pretty cool. We'll leave it like that. Okay, so that's those two files there. That's where you change up most of the colors, and that's probably where you want to spend most of the time experimenting with all those. Okay, so here's the text folder. Okay, so we'll go inside here, and you'll see that there's no text layers here. What these are, they're all smart objects. So the text actually is editable inside of this layer. So I'll show you what I mean. So I've got this one here highlighted in red, and I've just called it Replace Me, and I've just got arrows saying to double click. So if you just double click on this box here, it takes you inside that layer. So you can see my two windows up the top here. Here's my Photoshop file, and it's taking me inside this Photoshop document here. Now what you need to know about this, the size of this canvas, is that it's exactly the same as the size of the canvas here. So wherever you move this text, it's going to update in this file at that position. Okay. Now, so yeah, this is where you can change the font. Okay, so there is this crazy fonts. This one here, I'll put a link to that in the description. And I'm just going to call this Lucent, and I'll scale that up a bit. Okay, so if you're looking to the layer panel here, there's just one text layer, and I've twirled open the effects here just to highlight that this is where you actually change the color of the text. See stroke? If you double click on that, brings up the layer style window here, and this box here under stroke, this is where you change the color of the text. Okay, like that there. Because if I just double click on this here and then change it to blue, it won't update. It's because it's overridden by the layer style, the stroke there. Okay. Now after you've made changes in here, what you need to do, you notice if I click back onto my original Photoshop file, nothing is updated. Still got Arial as the font. So what you need to do is just save this file. So I'll just hit Control S or Command S to save it. It might just take a couple seconds because it needs to update all the effects in the main file. And that's it. Now I just close it, Control W. Now the text is updated in the main file with all the effects applied to it. Okay, so do that again. So just double click on Replace Me, takes you inside, there's the text, and if you want more text, just hit Control J or Command J on that text layer. You know, you can move a copy down. Also, you can use graphics in here as well. So if you've got a shape, let me see if I can just demonstrate this. I'll just get a shape out. What will I do? Just this. Now if I draw this out, what I might be able to do here is just drag. If I hold down Alt or Option on a Mac, hover over the word stroke, so hold down Alt, click and drag that over shape 1, and what that does, it applies the effect to shape 1. But what it hasn't applied is what you'll notice if you look at the text layer here, the fill is set to 0. See that? So all that's showing is a stroke. But in my shape, the fill's at 100, so if you just bring it down to 0, now that layer style has been applied. So now if I save it again, close it, you'll see that's all updated in here inside the main file. Alright, so I'll go back, I'm just going to delete that, have my text here, I'm going to save it again. Every time you make a change in here, you have to save it, otherwise it won't update in the main file. Control W, I'll close that. Now, so inside this text folder here, there's all these different layers. Now all these layers make up the total effect. So if I turn them all off, disappears. If I turn on that top layer, it's just the text, just that basic effect. Okay, but as you turn these on one by one, the effect starts building. Okay, all the way down to there. So if the effect is too strong, what you can do, you can just switch off some of these layers. There's a lot of glows and all sorts of things there, so you can just turn them off one by one to adjust the appearance of the text. Now, a very important layer is this one down the bottom, Add Shadow. If I turn this off, you'll see that most of the text has disappeared. Okay, now it's got to do with the blend mode with all these layers. To create that effect, that text effect there, a lot of these text layers have to be set their blend mode to linear dodge add. So without the add shadow layer, if I turn that off, you notice a lot of the text just disappears. It really depends if the text is sitting on a dark background or not. So to demonstrate that, if I move this text, now to move the text all at one time, all together, what you need to do is just move the text folder. So select the text folder, move that around. So you see as I move it down over this dark area of the photo, the text pops out a lot more. So it's really for if you're sitting this text on top of a really light background, use the add shadow layer, turn it on, and it will just make the text pop. Now if you want to increase the darkness of that shadow, just duplicate the layer, Control J, and you'll see that it's much more prominent now, the text. Okay, and of course you can duplicate any of these effects, just hold down Alt or Option and just drag those layers up and down. You can then move those effects around, you can scale them up, do what you want. You can also recolor individual elements, and I'll show you a quick way to do that. So let me just figure out, okay, that one there. So say I want to add a different color to that layer there, because currently it's adopting the colors of the text inside our smart object. But say I want to make this one blue. So go down the bottom here, go to a solid color, and then you can pick a blue. Now if I hold down Alt or Option on the Mac between these two layers, you see that little white box with the arrow up here, click that, and that way it clips this adjustment layer to only appear on this text layer here. So you can see now that that effect is blue. Alright, and then you can just double click on that box and play around with different colours. Okay, so you can do that for each one of those text layers if you want. Okay, so that's the text folder. We'll explain this one, the reveal original photo. That's just to clean up, yeah, the points of interest in your photo, the areas that you want to be much clearer. Okay. Wavy lines. Now, if I move this folder around, you can see that that's all those abstract lines appearing everywhere. So if you go inside here, there's just a bunch of different layers. You can move those lines around individually like that to reposition them. You could duplicate the entire folder, Control J. I'll take a second. So now I've got double the amount of lines, so you can then move all them around. And one thing I like to do here is if you select the wavy lines folder, whoops, and if you change the blend mode to add, all the lines will appear white. So that's a pretty cool effect. And you can also use the mask to hide any lines that you don't want. So if I just select this mask here and make my active color black, actually if I just hit X on the keyboard, it will reverse those two. So now black's my active color, B on the keyboard, get my brush out. If I start brushing over that layer now, see how I can hide any lines that I don't want. So maybe like down here, get rid of those. Maybe up around his head here, get rid of that, so it's just appearing over there. So you can control that as well. Now if you want to make all the lines black, select the blend mode again, change it to multiple. So now they're all black. The default color range is, it actually takes the colors from your photo, the original photo. Okay, so you'll get a mixture of all different sorts of colors. I think I preferred it. I'll keep it on linear dodge add. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Alright, now darken edges, if you turn that one on, that just adds like a soft black vignette around the canvas. Okay, and I'll show you in a second how else you can use that. But if you want to darken the edges, turn that one on. You can also adjust the opacity. So if I just move my mouse over the word opacity, click and drag to the left and right, you can adjust the opacity that way. That's how I like to do it. So I think just add a little bit. Brush strokes has pretty much all the effects inside it. All the effects are applied to the area that we brushed. Okay, so if we go inside here, lots of different layers. How I like to use these is if you can just move them, or you can duplicate them, or you can move them. I'll just find a way here. Just move them a few pixels here and there, just to offset them a little bit. You can see that there. So it's all those, I've called them brush strokes. So you can see that there. Very subtle, but just helps with the overall effect. Just offset their position a little bit. Just adds, gives the design a bit more of an abstract appeal. Alright, so that's the brush strokes, pretty simple. Moving on down. Now if you want to use a solid colored background, turn this one on. So now I've just got a white background. Okay, now I'll just turn the one off for a second, darken edges. So if you just want plain white background, turn that one on. I think it's actually slightly grey by default, yeah. And you see that the darker I go, you start to bring in all those light streaks and light overlays. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can also change the colour, you don't need to use white. You can sort of play around with all the colours in here. I think, yeah, White looks pretty cool. Okay, so but I'll turn that one off for a moment. Oh, what I was going to show is, so if you use, if you just want a solid color background, if you turn on darken edges, that's another way to bring in all the light streaks and light overlays. Adjust the opacity of this, and it makes it much more prominent from the edges because it's darker at the edges. Okay, so if I turn it up to 100, you'll see how it's much more prominent around the edges. It sort of fades off towards the middle, which gives a pretty cool look anyway. So, I mean, you can just use that darken edges and then play around, you know, with the background color. So that looks pretty cool. So yeah, lots to play around with there. I don't mind that. Let's turn it down a bit. Okay, so I'll turn that one off. I'll turn that one off for a sec. Now, when you run the when you run the action, the areas that you don't brush, so in this case, everything but this guy here, is going to be blurred. And I've just called this layer here blurred background, because if I turn this one off, you'll see that's the original background behind it, but just the default look of this effect, I just wanted to have everywhere that you didn't brush to be blurred. So that's why I wanted to encourage you to experiment with brushing, okay, with your subject. Like if I just if I erase his feet like that, and I run the action, turn that one back on, his feet down the bottom there would be all blurred, which gives a really cool effect. So yeah, I encourage you to just experiment with brushing different areas of your subject. Okay, so that's that. Actually, this one actually looks pretty good with the original background, but we'll just keep it blurred. Now, transparency. If you want to export this design with a transparent background, it's a little bit tricky because a lot of these light streaks and light overlays use blending effects. So, for example, if I want a transparent background now, I just need to turn off these bottom two layers, and now things are on a transparent background. But you notice that the look of these light streaks and the light overlays has reverted to something that doesn't look like, you know, look like that. You see how it changes, the appearance changes. It's because, excuse me, yeah, it's because these light streaks have a blend mode of, you know, linear dodge add. Okay, so if I turn that to normal, you see it loses all its appeal. So that's basically what's happening when you're turning off the background layers. It's reverting to normal because it doesn't have anything to blend onto. Okay, but if you want to say, if I just flip this on, say I just wanted to export this guy here with all these effects applied to it. This is how you do it. So I'll turn that one off. So what I've done, if you might have noticed, inside the light overlays and the light streaks folder, on these layer masks here, there's a big red X through all of them. Okay, I've just set this up a quick way for you to quickly remove all those effects outside of your subject to export on a transparent background. All you need to do is just click on that layer mask. Click, 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 click. Okay, and that's all done. So now you can export that as a PNG, an image with a transparent background, and drop that onto your other designs. You just might need to do a little bit of work in your other design and, you know, creating a few gradients of light, similarly to what these do, these light overlays. So if you wanted to, if I want to hide them again, you just hold down Shift and click on those masks, just like that. And now I can turn on my background layers, and it's ready to go again. So I think that looks pretty cool. Alright, so up into the adjustments folder here, there is a few pretty important layers here actually. Ones you definitely want to play around with. So this one here, can contrast, I've got in brackets, adjust opacity. By default it's at 44. So when I click and drag click and hold on that word opacity and drag to the left, removes all the contrast to 100, adds a lot of contrast. So you start with 0 and you slowly drag to the right, find the point where it looks really nice. Okay, that looks pretty good. Done. Moving on down, overall saturation. If you double click on this one, by default I've set the saturation of the design, I've pushed it up plus 26. So if I bring it back to 0, that's actually the original saturation of the design, but I think it looks way better, more saturated. So you can play around with that handle there, increase the saturation, bring it up a bit. Color balance is a cool one to play around with. You just double click on this and you play around with these handles here. You sort of adjust the colors. Okay, I'm playing around with the mid-tones there. You can also play around with the shadows. Yellow into the shadows. The highlights, play around with that. Okay, but I think I might have just butchered that. I'm going to undo it. What was that? Bring that down a bit. Okay, overall brightness. This one, just take a look at it. Just double click on it, and you want to play around with these two handles here. So, firstly, to make it darker, you grab this handle here and bring it into the right a bit. This one will increase the brightness, just like that. But I think it's all looking pretty good. Now this one here, if you want to apply, say, like a soft tint over the design, soft colour, so you can turn that one on, and you can play around with the colours here. You can also play around with the opacity. By default it's at 40%, so you can turn that one up or down. Say, say if I just wanted to add a little bit of blue, you can just increase that opacity. So it just overrides all the colours and starts to tint it with this colour here. Okay, but I think I might bring down the saturation, the saturation down a bit. Right there. Turn that one off. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll just have a quick jam in here, play around with these angles to make sure there's nothing else that looks better. This one. Try reflected. No, I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so that is essentially how to use this action. So really easy to use. Just remember the techniques for changing the text. Experiment with duplicating these light streak layers and playing around with all these. Now, to do some final fine tuning, what I like to do is I'll just collapse those. I'll select the adjustments folder, and what I want to do is merge everything that I see onto one layer. Okay, so to do that, I hold down Control Shift Alt E or Command Shift Option E on a Mac. And what I've got now is the entire design on one layer. Now, I like to go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and just look into the right hand side here, and I like to just play around with some of these handles. So temperature, make it a bit warmer or cooler, a little bit warmer. You can change, you can add some tint. Pretty good as is. Exposure I'll leave. Contrast I think's will be fine. Highlights look good. Shadows. Works. Clarity is like sharpening, so you can drag that to the right. You see that there. If you remove it, gives everything softness. So I'll just bring that up a little bit. Vibrance, I think it's good. I think that's okay. Click OK. Now the reason why I like to put this all on one layer it's because then I can, make some small changes like that, but then I can compare it against what I had before I made these changes. So I can just turn this eye on and off, so you can see the difference there. But also what I like to do is, I might think that looks pretty good, this looks pretty good, but you want to find a middle point, so that way I can select this layer and adjust the opacity of this, bring it to 0, and I'll start dragging to the right. So I only want to use 50% of this. So now I've created a blend between this layer and all the other layers below. Okay, so I'll just compare this against the original, see what we have quickly created. So a really advanced looking effect. The text sits well with all the other design elements around it, so I think you have fun using this action. But if you're having troubles or need some tips, just shoot me over an email. If not, yeah, have fun. Thanks.